Noah and I have been live streaming on Twitch for about 2 years. We've played a bunch of games I've wanted to make videos about and decided to cram several into a single video. I won't be wasting time talking about games I didn't like. Everything here is something I recommend. There's nothing here you haven't heard before, including a chunk of Disney platformers and some 8-bit action adventuring. I'm self-diagnosed as being clinically late to the party, so if you've not made time to play any of these games, it's high time you did. Over on Twitch TV, one of our viewers has enough channel points to make Smaug pop a boner. They've chosen to use their wealth for something better than terrible CG gold surfing, and asked us to play a trio of Disney platformers on the Sega Genesis. Quackshot starring Donald Duck is a 1991 Sega Genesis exclusive developed by Sega. It's possibly my favorite of all the games I'm mentioning in this video, which means it's gently downhill from here, but I promise we're staying above the clouds. This action platformer sees Donald pulling an Indiana Jones to spelunk various world wonders and ruins. Most stages hide artifacts needed to unblock progression in another part of the game, so they're basically keys. If your Metroid senses are tingling, settle down. Aside from the plungers and bubblegum gun, you're just blocked from completing most stages until you find a key in a different one. So, not exactly Planet Zebus. That doesn't mean the globetrotting gameplay is any less engaging. There's a decent variety in the enemies, and especially the levels and bosses. What makes it also fun to play is the responsive controls. Like one of my other Genesis favorites, Shinobi 3, it can be played slow and cautious, or breakneck and risky. The designers did a fantastic job marrying the levels with the player's moveset, so you always feel in complete control, which is important when your timing is tested in the later stages. As much as I love it, I haven't finished the game yet. I've put 8 hours into it across 4 live streams. Getting better and faster with each attempt has been a blast, and every return wins me over a little bit more. Repeat playthroughs feel like a must because remembering enemy placement and realizing I missed shortcuts has been a huge reward. And because there's no battery save and no passwords. That's really the only fault I can find with Quackshot. This is of course remedied with emulators, though I caution against save stating with the EverDrive. For me at least, initiating the save state button combo always froze the game. The World of Illusion starring Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck is yet another Mega Drive/Genesis exclusive developed by Sega. It released a year after Quackshot in 1992. It's a chill, low-stakes platformer that has 2-player simultaneous co-op. Playing as Mickey and Donald, you use the magic to use illusions to gently transmorgify the cast of Disney animated characters. You'll see the sharks from Little Mermaid, Mad Hatter and Tweedle Brothers from Alice in Wonderland, even Pete's frickin' dragon Elliot is here. I'm betting Warren Spector has an A+ graded copy on his mantle. Stages are altered for 2 players and requires context-sensitive co-op moves. The best is Mickey having to pull Donald's badonk through a crawl space, a far cry from his agility in Quackshot. There's 5 multi-stage worlds, each with their own boss fight, and a few magic carpet auto-scrollers to mix it up. Although, World 5 cheapens out with this mystery door segment that repeats sections from other worlds. If you were looking for old-school difficulty, you won't find it here. World of Illusion is a straightforward, relaxing playthrough. I suggest saving it for a day when you and a friend need to unwind. You'll be watching the credits in under 3 hours, and since you'll have the rest of the afternoon, you might as well roll into the next game. The Great Circus Mystery starring Mickey and Minnie is a 1994 Genesis and Super Nintendo platformer developed by Capcom, so you know it's good. I wanted to have a visual gag where I flashed the box art of a bad 16-bit Capcom game, and I couldn't think of one. Can you? Just like World of Illusion, it has 2-player simultaneous co-op. If you think it's weird I'm specifying simultaneous co-op, it's because Noah and I routinely run into games that are listed online as 2-player, only to realize you have to take turns. And if you thought Double Dragon on the NES was simultaneous co-op, then you're also a victim of the Mandela effect. The Great Circus Mystery is more complex than World of Illusion. Right off the bat, you have a more varied moveset. You can grab and throw blocks as well as stun and throw enemies a la Klonoa. You quickly unlock outfits which grant different abilities. You can swap costumes at any time to tackle the different challenges that arise. The vacuum sucks off enemies and blocks from a distance. Adventuring gear gets you a hook for swinging and climbing. And my least favorite, a cowboy getup complete with cork gun and horse. As you can see, it constantly bounces and you have to time your jumps with the animation. I'd prefer if the bouncing was controlled by the player, like in DuckTales. Capcom, the 16-bit masters they were, made good use of enemy and level variety to keep challenging your skills with these different outfits. There's a mechanic of collecting mouse ears to spend at Clarabelle Cow's store. We are terrible at both collecting these and not dying, so we never had anything to spend. Which means it's not needed for beating the game, it's just a nice bonus for people who have skill. Probably, I'll never know. The dev teams flexed their graphical prowess on both versions of the game. All around, the design of the gameplay, levels, and enemies are broader than World of Illusion. While I think it wouldn't hurt to play both games, the Great Circus Mystery is what I'd recommend if the former isn't stimulating enough for your brain. Finishing off the Disney block of this video is Goof Troop, a 1993 Super Nintendo exclusive also made by Capcom. This is the first game we completed on our live stream, so I actually have footage of us playing. Goof Troop is an action platformer that is best played with someone you communicate well with. Solving switch puzzles and scuttling the pirate posse utilizes the same mechanics, namely kicking and throwing objects. Goofy and Max can both kick and carry a single tool. The rope gun pulls double duty as a tightrope bridge and stun weapon. The bell draws baddies away from kick blocks or your teammate. The candle is for being a candle. The shovel? Shovels. Though I wish it also doubled as a weapon. The remaining arsenal helps with traversing the environment. The devs took special care at having the quick action and methodic puzzling take turns so you're never bored of either. The most intense and satisfying moments being when the two are brought together in the same screen. Later stages stretch your problem-solving skills by having puzzle solutions spread across multiple screens, and every boss battle is more fun and rewarding than the last. Afterwards, if you're still jonesing for more Goof Troop, we recommend the Goof Troop Space Adventures ROM hack. It uses a mix of box art and original assets to recreate new levels and remixes of the boss fights. The whole thing is a passion project created by Lucas Megastriker. I've linked the patch itself on archive.org, as well as the IPS Patcher website. Both are down in the video description. Let's strip away 8 of those bits to talk about 3 more games. Another early completion for us was River City Ransom on the NES. I am far from the first to say that it was ahead of its time. Ask Noah and he'll tell you I don't use that term loosely.
You said loose.
RCR is a beat-em-up with, no exaggeration, an open-world city. It's 2D and connected linearly, but you can freely traverse back and forth, and you'll want to. Throughout the city are different gangs you can pound for their lunch money. The deeper you penetrate into the city, the tougher the gangs. So like any modern open world, you'll want to grind for cash and pay attention to who pays out the most. At several market districts, you can purchase items for immediate recovery, stat boosting, and for having in your inventory. It's all contextualized with shops, restaurants, and bathhouses like an 8-bit Yakuza game. Yakuza. Yakuza? Yakuza. Let me know how you mispronounce Japanese words in the comments below. Don't leave a comment above, that's the search bar. Any game that lets me check tire tread depth on some dude's face is an A+ in my book. Noah and I took the time to max out our stats, which made the endgame a breeze. The brilliance in the sandbox design means you can skip the grind if you prefer a greater challenge. There's no battery save, so be sure to screenshot your password before powering off for the night. Or again, use save states like you're living in the future of 2002. So if we're going to strip bits away to talk about different games, why not strip away frames? Contra Force has rightfully earned a bad rap. It has a poor frame rate, doesn't look like a Contra game, because it originally wasn't, and still has beginner traps and cheap one-hit deaths. That sounds bad, and like maybe you should avoid it. Why am I talking about a bad game? Because I think it's not only salvageable, but worth the effort. Fire up Contra with a Game Genie or emulator and treat it like an arcade game set to free play. You might be surprised by what you find. First and foremost is the god-awful frame rate. However, I think the ambitious design is worth toughing it out. A bunch of the environment is destructible, there are scripted set pieces, and nearly every stage has a cool gimmick. Like walking wingtip to wingtip on planes soaring thousands of feet through the air. In a sentence, I'd say it plays like a Dollar General Metal Slug. There's 4 playable characters, and if you're going solo, you can assign different AI personalities to player 2. You can also switch characters at any time, and you'll want to because you can upgrade their weapons Gradius style. When you find an upgrade token, be sure to backtrack to make it respawn to quickly power everyone up. There's also some jumps only certain characters can make. Switching anytime also means the co-op is drop in and drop out. Again, I recommend cheat codes so the time spent grinding for weapon upgrades isn't lost. Oh, and the music. If anything, do not sleep on the Contra 4 soundtrack. I really do feel like Contra Force is worth playing. Beneath its tarnished veneer is the same explosive runnin' and gunnin' like its big brothers. It just runs a 20-minute mile and needs extra care to let it grow on you. Here's hoping one day we can have a patch that fixes the slowdown. Thanks to the excellent code breakdown by Displaced Gamers, which dives into why performance is so bad, maybe one day we will. The last game I want to talk about is actually a fan patch. It lets you play the first Legend of Zelda with a second player. This of course comes with many strings attached as the author is doing their best to press the code into a shape it wasn't molded for. In some ways the game is easier, but certain limitations make it harder. Your life bar, rupees, bombs, and etc. are all shared. Honestly, the game would be too easy if they weren't. Dungeon push blocks and the ladder require both players to be in the same spot at the same time. If one player tries pushing or crossing alone, then both of you stop moving. This is annoying, but the worst of the limitations. Other bugs are more likely to make you laugh. I didn't have the patience for Zelda when I was a kid. When I bought a Dreamcast at a garage sale, I found a boxed copy at the bottom. It came with these hand-drawn maps of all the dungeons and the overworld and item locations. I was stoked to finally play it and to use the maps someone had carefully drawn out when they were a kid. It was extra special to share the victory with a friend. Whether you're a veteran or a newbie, I highly recommend the patch, and I've linked it in the description. Okay, so I just talked about 7 games in roughly 15 minutes. Short and to the point. There's plenty more to talk about, so expect a part 2 in the future. If you watch this far, why not follow us on Twitch and spend channel points to request games for us to play? We exclusively stream games from the 7th gen and older. We guarantee some nostalgia and fart jokes every Wednesday and Sunday night if you're into that sort of thing. Stick around after the credits for something you missed. And thanks for watching.
I'm gonna triple your points, yeah?
Ooh, thank you. Oh,
Famous Doctor Who doesn't... Doctor Who?
I
probably shouldn't say Doctor.
Just put who. Yeah, delete.
Yeah, so earlier question, I got an answer. Oops, I hit submit again.
No.
Whatever, it's all
Doctor.
good. What? I didn't type anything! I didn't type anything! What the fuck? You win. The letter D isn't even in his name! Okay, so I just got Kevorkian by typing in Doctor, but earlier I typed in Ricky Martin and did not get Martin for famous Rickies. What the fuck?
Oh my god.
I'm gonna pass it to you, Otis. See if we just keep typing in Doctor and getting all the answers.